Grand Rising. Pleiasbians, party people and their mamas. We have 30 minutes on the clockina, and I'm just going to get started on this conversation, and I'm kind of close to the camera. I'm hoping that you can hear me. And we're just going to talk for as long as I've got. And today is Monday, the 15th, when I'm supposed to be posting this video, but it's whatever. That's all I can say right now because, we're in the middle of moving. I have a band, I've got a community, I've got relationships that I gotta take care of, and things are sometimes difficult, but we carry on, we persist. So here I am, and this is episode 28, posted very soon. I posted a video earlier today, but that post ended up having no audio after a certain time period because my mic was dead, and a lot of my electronics are dead right now, so that's neither here nor there. And I've been having trouble with storage again, so that's something that I need to deal with before I get my interviews going. But anyway, we're gonna call this episode Beginner's Luck, and we're just going to get going, folks. Again, I'm about 1 minute and 30 seconds into this recording, and I don't know if I'm going to achieve the full 30 minutes, but it's okay if I do, it's okay if I don't. I just want to get talking, and I'm grateful for the energy that I have removed or released in my previous recording that got posted but did not get posted. Also, we're inside, as you can see, because it's the winter, and I tried to record on the patio yesterday, but it was extremely cold, and it is still cold today in Austin, Texas, Manor, Texas. We're in Texas, and it's the winter. Today's the 15th. Next week is the winter solstice, and then we're going to be in the winter for real. And again, we're titling this episode Beginner's Luck because beginner's luck means so many things. So when I talk about the first episode that I've ever posted, which was again inside this room, things were very different. I mean, you were seeing my tapestry, so we can look over there and see my tapestry. Also, for a brief second, you saw this piece of macrame that my mother got me from Bangladesh. Also, this little doll right here is from Bangladesh, and I can show you this other piece of gift from Bangladesh that my aunt got me, which I'm super grateful for, of course. Drinking some water because we need to. We need to hydrate in this lifetime. Now we're at 3 minutes. It's crazy how fast time goes, This is episode 28 of my podcast, which is incredible, right? It's neither here nor there, right? That's 28 weeks of posting on every single Monday. My first episode that I ever posted, Beginner's Luck, was posted in this room, from this room, and I posted it on that Monday, but I recorded it on that Sunday, if I recall correctly, and now we're recording on a Monday and posting for this Monday. I don't think I've ever done it this way, but I'm grateful that I'm getting it done, and my hair is like this, in this headband. That's also great. I've been trying to grow my bangs out, but it's really difficult, and I've got these hairs on the side that I shaved earlier this year in like May, and now we're about to get to January. That's insane. And earlier today, when I had thought I had posted my podcast, but Anthony was so gracious to have said my video had no audio, and I was kind of thinking that it had no audio because I was like muting it and unmuting it and like refreshing, but I did not put two and two together for some reason. So again, thank you, Anthony, for doing that. Otai, the writer who always reflects on my podcast, and I am incredibly grateful for. Like, I can't thank him enough. Again, I don't know how long this episode is going to be for, first of all, storage purposes, but second of all, because, I may have trouble hearing myself again on this recording, and that would be horrible, right? But again, I just started this podcast this year. I'm the only one recording this podcast. I have kind of alluded to asking for finances. I've gotten some help here and there. My tripod has broken. So again, if you guys want to help me out in that aspect, please message me. Ask me for my Cash App or my Venmo or my Apple Cash or whatever, and I will make the moves to get a new tripod. But for right now, we'll be fine. I have an interview with my friend Ethan coming up on the 22nd, and the 22nd is a Monday where I'm going to be posting next week's episode, which is called Changes. Again, it's interesting. I had nothing written for Changes when I had posted or thought I had posted this week's podcast, episode 28. But then now episode 28 needs to be re-recorded, right? And it's just like we go with the flow, we go with the changes. There's reasons I made time and energy for my life. You know, I'm moving to Houston and then I'm moving to Austin again afterwards, and I just moved to Austin last year. So I take my breathers, I work through life with the energy that I have. I've always done things fairly quickly. I've always wanted to do things very quickly, and I love change, you know? So I accept things for what they are, and I am living in the present moment. I am 25 years old, and I wanted to talk about this earlier in my podcast, but you know, we haven't even gotten to beginner's luck, and that's okay. We're only 5 minutes in, 6 minutes in almost, actually. I don't typically reflect on the time that I have for my podcast. That's why I have the clockina in the first place, actually, because I kept talking about the time, and I was looking at my Apple Watch a lot, and Joaquina had pointed that out to me and then bought me the clock for my birthday, which is interesting because, again, earlier this year in June was when I started the podcast in the first place, and then life started to move particularly quickly, and now it's moving quickly still yet again, and I'm grateful for that, right? Beginner's luck, that's the point of this episode. I guess that's why I've been reflecting on things in general, because again, everything is a point of reflection. And yeah, I've been moving. Lots of items are in Houston. Yesterday, my family went to Houston, my mom and my dad, and today they went to Houston again. And I think I talked about that when I recorded this podcast earlier as well, you know? And the thing about beginner's luck, I want to talk about, well, okay, let's just go through the things and maybe I'll have other things to ponder upon alongside y'all, right? Let me drink some more water real quick. Water, delicious life force. I love it. H2O. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was changing expressions, you know? And I talked about this in kind of like an insane way, but apparently it's good to be a little insane, maybe not too much insane, but like we're able to change genetic expressions, or so I believe. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, we were born into this world and then we grow. And as we grow into our genetic expression. We're born as like this potato that's molded, moldable, formable, and we form those things, and we're socialized by the things around us. And I was a sociology major in college. So, you know, I reflect and read a lot sociologically and look at the world sociologically. And because of that, I'm always like, oh, how is society working? How does society work? What are we doing in the present moment? And what does everything mean? What are we doing here? What's the point? You know, not like what's the points, like legitimately, literally in the exact moment, but like, who do we want to be? Who are we, and who are we going to be? And what does changing mean? What does continuing mean? You know, like, if we want to be more happy, maybe our skin changes, you know. If we want to be more alert, maybe our eyes change, you know. If we want to breathe more deeply, maybe our nose changes. If we want to listen deeper, maybe our ears change, maybe our muscles change, maybe our neck changes with the way we speak, you know. Maybe our posture changes with the way that we stand. And maybe everything that we did in the beginning when we were born is the beginner's luck of genetic expression, you know. And maybe we have like DNA, but also I believe in miracles and I believe in change. And I don't know if that's my belief in religion and God, or if that's my belief in the world and how it works, because we are our creators of our own experience, you know. And again, I'm only 25 years old, so if I'm believing things this way, then what am I going to be next year? Who am I right now in this moment? Because who I want to be, like, I think I'm gorgeous, and I think I'm so grateful for that, because I think I'm gorgeous with the way that I move, with the way that I sound, with the way that I speak, with the way that I live my life. And you know, I've been living life with like all sorts of types of mental clarity, all sorts of different forms, right? Some better and some worse. And recently I've been feeling a little bit better, and because of that, like, I've been feeling like I've been looking better. And I think also other people see that on me, you know. I think like in the moments where I was having a little bit of anxiety or schizophrenic episodes or near-death experiences, you know, we've talked about this on the podcast before. I think in those moments it was like you could see it on my face and my expressions, and people have been telling me a lot, like, oh, you've been balanced, like, you sound a lot better these days. And I feel like, you know, you can see it. Also, that's like, you know, again, beginner's luck. Like, I started doing that. I started planting the seeds, and in those moments, maybe I was doing a little bit better in those very small particular moments, and now they've compounded, right? And maybe that's like also like I was experiencing my schizophrenia in a deeper level, or like looking at my anxiety, just naming it for what it is so it can move forward. But I was having a lot of anxiety attacks, and that's a problem, right? Anyway, so we have hair textures. My hair is particularly straight, and yesterday it was doing a lot more of a curly Q because it was like super dry and damaged at the ends. But when I did not have my ends dyed, it was doing curly Qs on its own anyway. I mean, you can see a little bit right now, but like when I was taking care of my hair, like it was curly, it was doing more curly Qs, and I had curly hair, and my family has curly hair, but we don't take care of it as it's curly. And I have not been taking care of it as it's curly because it's just easier. But when I was taking care of it as it was curly, my hair and my hair texture was healthier, and it was thicker and stronger. And my hair right now is thicker and stronger again because I took care of it as it was curly for a while. But I think that again, beginner's luck matters, and I'm at a position in my life where I need to like work on having curly hair. And in the beginning it's easier, and then over time, again, you know, you get better with it, and then after a year or so of having curly hair, then it's easy to just like wash your hair and it maintains curliness, but you continue to put products in it and take care of it in a curly way. So again, miracles happen, and I think it's possible to change expression, and I think that it's possible to change things internally inside of ourselves and be calm and remove stress and take care of our health holistically in that way. I just think it matters to think about life in that way anyway. So trying something new, this is our second thing that we're moving on to. I think when you're trying something new, it's easy to have beginner's luck. Let me see, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. We're not going to talk about that specifically right now, but we're going to get into it. We're 12 minutes in. We're just talking. We're just podcasting, right? This is typically a 30-minute podcast because I like longer term media, and shorter term media is easier to digest and ingest. But I think that like we have been creating a lot of shorter term media these days as a community and pandering towards that or pushing that forward, you know, and that's been percolating in our society, unfortunately, because people do have shorter attention spans these days. And with memes, with reels, you know, it's like, just like put that away. I like focusing on things that make me happy, so my world becomes happier around me, you know, and that makes me grateful, you know, because then my friendships get better, then I get better, and I feel like my world gets better, and I think that matters, you know. So yeah, when you try something new, it's beginner's luck oftentimes, like when you listen to a new language or when you try a new hobby, you know, you have your version of beginner's luck. But I also believe that like every day has its own version of beginner's luck, which we'll talk about in just a second. But also I believe that because we have beginner's luck with tasks, we can determine what beginner's luck looks like for us in each task. And if we're having difficulty with something, we can imagine beginner's luck with a different task and apply it to the task at hand. And maybe the next day beginner's luck looks different, and the next day and the next day, and so on and so forth. So every day that continues, your beginner's luck gets better in a way, you know, but also you come to every day with beginner's luck. So that's just trying something new. And that gets me to the next question of waking up every single day with fresh new baby eyes. I think it's been a couple of years that I've been saying this. I think I was like 21 or 22 when I first started to witness myself being like, wake up every single day with fresh new baby eyes. And it's similar, like if you've been watching my podcast for quite some time now, to something that I've been saying in the past about not just waking up with fresh new baby eyes, but also to believe that you're on your highest timeline. Because if you're waking up believing you're on your highest timeline, then I feel like life starts associating you with your highest timeline, and things start shifting and moving around to continue to put you in these spaces. So you just continue to reframe and remind yourself like, oh yes, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. These are my trials and tribulations, and maybe it doesn't look great, but this is better than where I've ever been in my entire life, and I'm only getting better, and that matters, right? And it does matter. Of course it matters. Same thing with waking up with fresh new baby eyes every single morning. You know, it matters to be like, oh my God, every single morning I am waking up with these eyes closed, refreshed, rested in the womb that is my body, you know. And I am healing, and I am sleeping, and I am going through these processes of the traumas half-lifing, you know. They're getting smaller and smaller every single day. My brain is getting refreshed. I'm getting reminded of what matters, you know, and what matters is health, community, friendship, yourself, your mind, growth, changing art, creation. It all matters. And so yeah, waking up with fresh new baby eyes, like remind yourself, what did you want when you were a child? Why did you want those things? Do you still want those things? Have those things changed? Why have they changed? In what ways have they changed? Are you changing? Are you going to continue to change? What does changing look like every single day? Are you happy? Are you happy? And that matters the most, right? You being happy matters more than anything else in the world. And I have to remind myself that. That's why I'm talking about this on the podcast, right? So yeah, waking up every single day with fresh new baby eyes. It's Monday, December 15th, and I have thoughts percolating, changing. I write them down, I journal. I want a therapist. I talk to my doctor. I take care of my health. I take care of my community. I continue to exercise. We continue to do everything that we can, and it's the winter. It's the winter, so we wake up with fresh new baby eyes. And again, I'm reminded of every single winter in the past I've had trouble eating. And this year I've had less trouble eating, but I'm still struggling to take care of myself, but I'm doing my best. And I'm grateful about that, because as long as you're doing your best, then you can continue to do better. And here we are, still recording my podcast on this Monday. Inshallah, I will post this podcast soon. And yeah, that's me waking up every day with fresh new baby eyes. And even in every moment, that's the point of being on my highest timeline, to remind myself, like, I have another chance. And yeah, I think I want to go into this next thing first, of Juggling Revisited, but we'll see. I mean, like, we'll see how I write it down on the list of things in the description below. It's just interesting because I know I did this in order yesterday, but for some reason I want to talk about juggling real quick. So we have me juggling, right? I don't know if you can hear, maybe I can. So we went to Juggling Revisited, and I want to show you all some tricks, because every single day has been so different for me, and I don't juggle often, I don't practice every single day, but I do like getting a lot of people to practice with me and to juggle with me and to grow the community of jugglers, because I believe that if we have a larger community of jugglers, then we have a larger community of artists, and if we have a larger community of artists, then we have a larger community of people that are less fearful and that take care of the world and the earth around us, the oxygen. And artists can be scientists, and they can be technology focused, and they can be musicians, they can be medical people, they can be they can be the mixture of all of these things, And a lot of people have been telling me that my project has been interesting, because they're seeing who I'm becoming and what I'm becoming as time moves forward, and they're saying that, like, I'm figuring out who I am as the project continues. But I think that, like, we all figure out who we are in this world as our projects continue, like, I am a podcaster, and I have been grateful to have this DIY platform, like, some people want to be on the platform with me, and I do want to uplift those voices, like I said, I'm very community oriented, and I like talking to people. And on top of enjoying talking to people, you guys have heard I've been a sociology major in college, even though I didn't finish my degree. That is neither here nor there. I continue to study, I continue to participate and create in this world, and be at the forefront of what the conversation is, be thinking, be reminding ourselves of what is the point of oxygen, water, safe housing, warmth, community, resources. And I think I'm crying out because I've been disabled for some time, and I'm getting stronger, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm working on my muscles, and I'm working on the food that I'm storing in my body, and the energy that I'm using, and becoming wiser as the days go on, right? Because all we can do is learn new things every single day. And as long as we learn one new thing every single day, I think that cliche remains true. You learn something new every single day, but I do enjoy learning multiple things every single day. So me juggling, I had learned certain tricks months ago when I initially started juggling, and now I am juggling quite consistently, and I've got multiple juggling balls, and I've got people that I like juggling with, and the community of jugglers grows, and then they get their own juggling balls, and then they juggle on their own. And life continues again, and it pushes me forward, and it reminds me of why we're doing this, and it changes my energy, and I'm grateful for that, because people are like, oh wow, you're sounding better, and you're sounding more balanced overall, and I am grateful for that. Like, I do want to be an excited person. I do like being easily excitable. I think we should all be agreeable, Doesn't that make us have a more peaceful world? Anyway, we're 20 minutes into this podcast, and it's getting longer than I had initially imagined, and I am grateful for that. So, we are talking about things that matter and that are on my mind and that shift the energies around us, and I become an active participant of my own life again. I want to be an active participant of the community. I have been an active participant of my own life again, like we've been saying. We started the podcast, and similar to juggling, like I started around the same time, and with the podcast, I had the experience of getting to watch my ex Vlad be a podcaster. I got to watch him very up close, Vladimir Castellanos, and I got to be an active participant. I got to be on the camera. I got to listen, and his project is a very Spanish forward. They speak all in Spanish on that project, and he's stopped posting since, and he was doing that with his cousin Alex Luster, and they do amazing work in the world in general, music wise, art wise, interview wise, and I had been inspired. I had been motivated by them, and I'm grateful for the opportunities that I have these days because I watched and I listened, and we paid respects to the culture in front of us and ahead of us, behind us, all around us, right? And so now I'm a part of culture. And again, I want to thank Anthony Otai for, first of all, reminding me why we do this, and always showing up in community, always showing up as a support system. Like, my heart is warmed time and again, and I know you know this, that I love you. You are an amazing friend. You are an amazing person. I am always praying for your blessings, and I think that, you make my life so much better, and I just want to provide the same. And I also want to remind people of Joaquina, because if it wasn't for Joaquina, I would not be juggling, and I would not have the Clockina. And I've got some incredible friends, and I want to shout out Grace and Vanelli too, first of all, because Grace is such a sweetheart in the world in general. I met Grace and Joaquina on the same day. And you may have heard of Joaquina's name multiple times on the podcast, but I don't think I've brought Grace's name up on the podcast. And Joaquina introduced me to Vanelli at Juggling, which has just been incredible. And, I'm so grateful to know these people again. Like, they remind me why we do this. All of y'all who I just mentioned, and everyone who watches the podcast, my entire audience, the Pleiasbians, you guys remind me of why we do this. So again, Juggling revisited, you see how things change, and you see how learning even changes as you go. Like, similar with my podcast, as time has gone on, my podcast has changed. Like, right now my tripod is broken and it is cold, so we have moved to my room, and for the longest time, I have been wanting to switch back and forth from different venues. Like, every single time that I travel, y'all may have heard or maybe have not heard, but I went to Alabama recently, but I could have recorded then, but I didn't. And I had gone to Utopia a couple weeks ago, and I could have recorded then, but I didn't. And in a couple of weeks, I will be in California, and I will record then. I plan, I hope, I pray, inshallah, I will. God willing, everything works out, but I definitely will be in California, and I'm super grateful for that. And to my friends Aubrey and Morgan, and my friend Akash for housing me and being a part of my family and being around. Again, I love y'all so much. Thank you guys so much for being in my life. I met Akash in college. I met Morgo just a couple of years ago in my 20s. Or maybe I was just 19 at the time. No, I think I just recently turned 20 or 21, or I was about to turn 21 or something like that. Or maybe I was about to turn 22. Regardless, I had visited Morgo in Washington and Oregon, and I was so grateful to go to Oregon with him. And then Aubrey, I have known since middle school, and it's amazing to know that they're like around the same vicinity, all three of these people, so I can hit three people all in one in California. And I'm going with someone that I am getting to know and that I am grateful for their existence. If you know, you know. And if you are the individual that I'm talking about, you know who you are. They have not been watching my podcast as much recently, but I've been grateful for the opportunity to travel. Again, going to Utopia, Texas with this individual, and going to Alabama to visit this individual. If you know, you know again. And if you don't, you don't. And that's okay. But, we'll continue to talk about things on the podcast. We'll continue to grow, and I'll continue to change. The podcast will continue to change. Again, the way that the background of the podcast looks while we're inside has changed. The way that the podcast has looked on the patio has changed. I've been on different patios. Sometimes we've been on Zoom calls. And yeah, the podcast has just changed in a general, in a multitude of ways, because we're going to continue to change. Again, that is maybe the baseline thing that I understand life is, and not everyone wants to be always changing. We have also accepted 12 podcasts once every month for this entire year. I think we've already reached 4. Yeah, Guy Shanks, Divine Darius, Alan Leonardo, and Carmen Lizarga. And soon we're gonna have Ethan Bryan. Next week I'm gonna go to Houston and we're gonna record that on his patio. He's been my longtime friend as well since high school. He's a musician. He's a talented individual, a very caring community member, someone who has always pushed me, who has always been there for me, with me, is again just someone that I've grown with, laughed with, cared with, and I'm excited to bring that energy to the podcast as well. The podcast continues to change, and so right before we talk about Vanelli some more, because that is something, she is someone I want to bring up on the podcast some more, we're going to talk about how beginner's luck is not something you always need to listen to, because again, like I said, everyone has a different form of beginner's luck. So sometimes your beginner's luck is okay and all right in the moment, and then sometimes you need more of beginner's luck to form, you know, so you need to do like a multitude of different activities, and then you regain beginner's luck, and then you get better. So like, you know, I'm getting amazing at juggling, but I only do like a little bit of juggling, like sometimes on camera, sometimes for parties. I don't really go to a juggling class anymore, which does make me sad, but I do want to go more often. But I have been juggling as much as I can, you know, but I want to be competitively juggling, you know. So yeah, maybe I just need to practice on my own time, which is something that I'm also recognizing and realizing, right? Because I've always been practicing always a bunch of things on my own. But yeah, sometimes you don't need to listen to beginner's luck, you know, like with my podcast. I didn't know what I was doing initially, and here I am, thank God, continuing on my project, right? And yeah, the last thing that I need to mention before we say that beginner's luck is not always what you need to listen to, but sometimes you can lean into it, and it can be a great, wonderful thing. Okay, wait, before that, I didn't show you her up close. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful. Anyway, the last thing that I want to talk about before we close off for the night is the Posada. So Vanelli had a Posada, and I'm so grateful that she invited me. She invited me like a month or two ago, and she said that like, you know, you're moving to Houston, but are you going to be in Austin during this time? And I said, yes, I will be, and I'll make time for it. And then, you know, I went to Alabama, and I still got back to Austin in time for the Posada, which I'm so grateful for, because otherwise I would not have been able to spend such warm time during the holidays with my friends. And I didn't even know what a Posada was until recently. Like that night is when I had called my friend Andrea, which inshallah she shall be on my podcast as well, promoting some shows, which we will talk about in the future again on the podcast. But Vanelli had like all of these cute, let me show you, these adorable little goodie bags that I think she handmade. And they've got like Mexican candy in them, and like a Posada is typically like a Catholic Spanish like Christmas time event, but I feel like it's just a great excuse to spend time with your loved ones. And you know, I am not particularly Mexican or in Latin culture myself. I do speak Spanish, and I do my best to remain in the community and stay immersed in Spanish culture. But this was my first Posada, and the clockina, everyone. There was wonderful tamales, and I brought some tamales home, and I've been having that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner basically until I run out of them. And Grace and Joaquina were there, and I met some friends there as well. And Grace's partner Andres had a friend, Chris, who came to the event as well, so that was really fun. And yeah, it's been 6 months of like really being in a community in Austin, and I'm moving back because these people mean so much to me. I love them so much. I love getting to know them. You know, I've gotten to know people tangentially because of them, and there's other people that I will get to meet again because of them. And I will continue to introduce them to people, and we will continue to grow our community, and we will continue to meet people that are amazing individuals because of this. And yeah, that's what a posada is all about, right? I mean, like, again, you guys know me. I'm not the most religious individual in the world, but here we are 30 minutes into my podcast, cult, or whatever you want to call it, girls' night. I love girls' night. Every moment is girls' night. Joaquina, if you ever get to watching this, thank you so much for being in my life. To everyone who's in my life, thank you so much for being in my life. If you watch this, thank you so much for being in my life. Leave a like, comment, or subscribe, and subscribe, please, to my podcast if you feel, and I would appreciate it if you did feel that way. The last things that I'm going to say before I hop off of this podcast for today, this episode, thank you guys so much for listening to Poetry on the Patio with Pleiades, episode 28, named Beginner's Luck. Next week, you can look forward to the episode titled Changes. We will be talking about all sorts of changes because it's the end of December. And at the same time, I want you guys to remember to love yourself, educate yourself, read more, be a part of this world, create more, love more, take care of yourself and your loved ones, hydrate more, eat healthy foods. Did I mention journaling? I don't know if I did, but if not, journal, brush your teeth, brush your hair, take a shower, hug your loved ones, hug your family, hug your partners, hug your best friend, hug your pet, hug yourself. Take yourself out on a date. And other than that, until next time, bye-bye.